1 Kings chapter 19, verses 1 through 4. Ahab told Jezebel everything that Elijah had done and how he had killed all the prophets with the sword. So Jezebel sent a messenger to Elijah saying, "May the gods punish me and do so severely if I don't make your life like the life of one of them by this time tomorrow." Then Elijah became afraid and immediately ran for his life. When he came to Beersheba that belonged to Judah, he left his servant there, but he went on a day's journey into the wilderness. He sat down under a broom tree and prayed that he might die. He said, "I have had enough, Lord. Take my life, for I am no better than my ancestors." Let's pray. God, thank you so much for a Sunday morning to be in your house with fellow believers singing praises to your great name. God, we thank you for your presence in this place. We pray that through our time of worship, we have prepared our hearts to receive your word, God, that we might be changed by it. We pray that you would anoint Brother Austin as he brings the message to your people. In Jesus' holy name, all God's people said, amen.
Appreciate that. All right. How am I supposed to follow that? Why do y'all do this to me? Y'all make it impossible for me. Yeah, y'all give the band another hand. They killed that. That was awesome. Can you put my text back up there? I want to look at 4 words today from the mouth of Elijah. He said, "I have had enough." I have had enough. Have anybody ever felt that before? I've just had enough. If you say you didn't, you are a liar. You are a liar. You are full of it. Come on now. Don't get all spiritual on me and act like you ain't ever said that before. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Because I know some of y'all had a mama like mine that she said, she'd get on you. She had that "I've had enough" moment. She'd walk up to me. She said, "Boy, I brought you into this world. I promise I can take you out of it." That's an "I've had enough" moment. But you see, there's become kind of this problem in people and in circles of church that say that if you ever have a moment like this, if you ever feel like I've just had enough, whenever you feel tired, whenever you are struggling with anxiety, depression, whatever that might be, the church has kind of failed people on that. They've kind of said, well, that's probably on you. Like, you're probably doing something wrong. They give you the super spiritual answer, like, have you prayed enough? Did you do your devotion today? That's probably why you're feeling that way. You did not read day 37 of your devotion. But let's be for real. Let's be for real. This is all over the Bible. Where huge people in the Bible, mountain people, huge people, struggle with this right here. They have "I've had enough" moments. Look at Moses, the man who was so powerful. He parted the Red Sea. He went up to Pharaoh, stutter problem at all. He said, "You better let my people go. Let them go." And yet then later on in Numbers chapter 11, he tells God, he says, "These people won't listen to me. I can't get their attention. And if that's not going to change, then just take my life. Take my life." That's the man Moses. And then Jonah, because God did such a great work in the people that he hated. Yes, God wants to save your haters too. Sorry to break it to you. But because God had saved the people that he could not stand, he told God, "It's better that I would just die now. It's better that you just take my life." If you look at the prophet Jeremiah, he says the same thing. He does all these great things. He's called a mouthpiece for God, and he does all these great things in God's name. And then he says, "It would be better if I had never been born." Or let's go New Testament. Paul gets to a point where he just says, "It would be better if I was just dead. It would be so much easier if I was just dead." Yes, I'm writing letters to all these New Testament churches. Yes, I'm the apostle. I'm doing all these things. But if I'm just being honest, I've had enough. And maybe that's not spiritual enough for you. What about Jesus? Jesus comes down from the mountain. He says, "How long do I have to be with this unbelieving generation? I've had enough. How long do I have to deal with a generation? They have seen me do all these miracles. They've seen me turn water into wine. They have seen me take 2 fish and 5 loaves and feed 5,000. What else am I supposed to do?" They've seen it. They've tasted of it. And yet they still don't believe. They still don't believe. And today, specifically, we're going to talk about one of the greatest prophets in the entire Old Testament. We're going to talk about Elijah. Now look, it's very important that we know this name, Elijah because it has a really deep meaning to it. If you look at it in Hebrew, it means my God is Yahweh. So everywhere that Elijah went, it wasn't my grandma's God was Yahweh. It wasn't my mom's God is Yahweh. My dad, he said, my God is Yahweh. And some of us need to get a little Elijah on us this morning. And we need to quit living off of other people's faith. And we need to realize Elijah, my God is Yahweh. Man, that's a killer name. I wish my mama would have gave me that name, because then everywhere that I went, my name itself would preach a sermon. My name itself would say what I need people to hear. My God is Yahweh. In fact, that's so good. Hudson, I need you to remember something, okay? I need you to remember something. You got me? I need to name a kid Elijah, because that's a killer name. That is a killer name. But it doesn't stop there. He has a super powerful name, but this is only the beginning, because Elijah is in a league of his own whenever it comes to the prophets of the Old Testament. Look, I don't know if God's going to give out gold medals or whatever whenever we get to heaven. Probably not going to be gold medals, because, streets of gold. We ain't walking around with asphalt around our neck. So he's going to have something better than gold, but I can make you a promise. Elijah's going to have way more medals than any of us have. Look, I don't care how good you think you are. I don't care how well you did in Sunday school. I don't care where you went to school at. It does not matter. We can't even compare to what the prophet Elijah did. Let me give you a quick highlight reel of everything that Elijah did. So most prophets, we would learn about them as kids. We would learn about how they grew up, but not him. In 1 Kings 17, he simply hey, this is Elijah. And the first thing that he does is he walks into the king's palace and he says, Ahab, guess what? No more rain. No more rain, no more dew, it's over. No more of it. And then he walks out. That's gangster, I'm not gonna lie. That's hard. I wish I could do that. He walks in and he just says, no more rain, no more dew, there will be no more water. And then we continue to learn about him, because God, even in this drought, still takes care of him through a miracle of having ravens bring him food. We ain't talking Uber Eats, we ain't talking DoorDash, ravens go bring food to Elijah. And then we learn about this widow that he meets, that she's completely poor, she has nothing left, all she has is a little bit of water and a little bit of oil, and Elijah walks into her house, she says, hey, I need you to make me some bread, I'm hungry. But she's got nothing. She says, Elijah, have you lost your mind? I've got nothing. I'm fixing to die. And he says, as sure as I am a prophet of God, if you feed me, your pantry will never be empty. You will never be without anything. So, in faith, she feeds Elijah, and she's completely taken care of. And then did you know that Elijah was responsible for the first resurrection? Did y'all know about that? This widow's son dies, and she comes up to Elijah. She says, look, you got me bread, you got me water, you've taken care of all these things for me. But what about my son? What about my son, Elijah? And Elijah says, bring him to me. He brings him up into an upper room. It says that he lays across his body, and he says, God, give him your life again. And the boy is resurrected. The first resurrection in the Bible is not Jesus with Lazarus, it is Elijah. That's who we're talking about today. We're talking about Elijah. And if that's not enough, centuries later, Jesus comes to his disciples and he says, who do the people say that I am? He says, I've done all these miracles. What are the streets saying about me now? What are they saying? And they said, well, some of you think that you're John the Baptist. Some of you think you are Elijah. Do you realize how good you've got to be doing things for people to look at Jesus and said, man, only Elijah can do that, nobody else. That's right there, that's Elijah. That's who we're talking about. That is who is struggling in such a way that he prays to God. He says, I've had enough. I've had enough. We're talking about a guy that didn't even taste death. It says that chariots came down, swooped him up, and carried him off. Now, I know that back then they had no idea how nice a good Ford F-150 could be, because that's really what he rode off on. He rode off in an F-150. That boy Elijah, they swoop down, pick him up, and bring him to heaven. He doesn't even have to die. He just left. That's all that he did. He just left. That is who we are talking about today. So how could a person like Elijah, how could a prophet like Elijah get to the point where he says, God, just take my life. I've had enough. I can't handle it anymore. I don't want to do it anymore. Take my life. It sounds crazy, doesn't it? But it only sounds crazy if you don't have the context. And that's kind of how it usually is. Whenever you don't know what's going on in somebody else's life, it just looks crazy. But you don't get it because you don't have the context. So let me give you some context as to what's going on. Let me introduce to you a Tishbite named Elijah. A Tishbite named Elijah. Now, in the book of Kings, the big problem that they are dealing with is idolatry, which is nothing new, other than in this one, it says that the idolatry has become so bad that it is not only a part of the culture, it is the culture. Idolatry had become the culture of Israel throughout the book of Kings. So, how did we get here? We got here through what the Bible calls the most evil king, and his name is Ahab. And there are two very, very unique things that are said about Ahab. One of them is that he is the worst, most evil king that has ever been through Israel. Now, that is a resume, let me tell you, because there have been some bad kings, but none like Ahab. Do you realize how bad you have to be the absolute worst? You've got to be bad. Now, I'm going to tell you something. This is the second unique thing about him. How could a guy like this be so bad? Let me show you. I got my suit and tie on. Here I am. I do. It was who he said I do to. I don't think y'all heard me. It was who he said I do to. So to anybody that's not married, let me give you a warning. You need to get to know who you are going to say I do to, because this woman that he said I do to, she was evil. She was terrible. This dude probably just got on her Instagram, looked at the top 3 pictures. They was good. Hey, let's go out on a date, man. Let's get to know each other. Man, scroll down a little bit. Get to know these people. What are we doing? We have got to be careful with who we say I do to, because what marriage did for her is that marriage magnified her madness. If she would not have married a king, she would have never had the power. But because she married the king, she all of a sudden has all of this authority. And that unique thing about her is that she is the only queen, she is the only wife of a king of Israel that her name is mentioned in Kings. Nobody else. I quadruple checked. Nobody else's name was mentioned in the book of Kings. Only hers. A name that's so bad that nobody has it today. And if you do have it, we have 4 exits, and Trotter will walk you out right now. Do you know how bad you have to be for nobody to have your name? Let's do a quick roll call. How many Judases are in the house? Not many of them. Okay, good, none. I was worried I might get stabbed in the back. That was good. We have no Judases in the house. How many Adolphs we have in the house? None. We better not have no Adolphs in the house. You can definitely leave. How many Lucifers? How many Lucys, though? Y'all are getting a little bit close. Might need to change your name. How many Jezebels are here this morning? None. Because she was so evil that no one carries her name today. Now, why do we get her name and not anyone else's? Because though she was the wife of the king, she was the one that was in command. Whenever we looked at our text, it said that Ahab went to her and reported all the things that Elijah had done. Now, I'm just saying, if Ahab's the boss, he ain't doing that. He's just going to take care of it himself. But what this means for us is that he is called the most evil king, which means that if you were going to stand by and watch evil, you might as well do the evil. If you were just going to stand by and watch it happen, you are just as evil as the person that is doing it. Because that's what Ahab did. He stood there, he watched Jezebel do what she was doing, and she created this culture of idolatry in Israel. She has put herself into a place of authority, and because Ahab has no spine, she does whatever she wants to do. She creates this culture of idolatry towards Baal. Who, watch this. Baal was the god of fertility, the god of thunder. Watch this. He was the god of rain, which now it makes sense. That's why Elijah stormed into the palace and he said, no more rain. Watch this. If you think he's the god of rain, watch this. We're going to cut it off. Nope, no more rain. And from that day forward, for 3.5 years, there was no rain in Israel, not a drop, not a bit. Absolutely zero rain, zero water for 3.5 years. So then after this, Elijah says, okay, enough is enough. I've got to deal with them head on. He goes to Ahab. He goes straight to him. And he says, look, we got to figure this out, okay? I've had enough of the back and forth. He's probably getting tired of it not raining, if we're being honest, because droughts suck. So he goes to him and he says, okay, we're going to take care of this right now. He says, we are going to go to the mountain. I want you to gather all 450 prophets of Baal. I want all 400 prophets of Asherah. I want you to bring them all to the mountain because we are about to find out who the true God is. Now, I know that the Mike Tyson and Jake Paul fight was big, but could you imagine if we had this on pay-per-view? If you could find out who the true God is? Because that's what he says he's going to do. That we are about to find out who the true God is. So now it's begin to set up. And he tells them, look, bring everybody that you've got because I want everybody to see this. He says, I want an audience here. I want everybody to see what is about to happen. So these people pile up on the mountain to watch. I mean, this would be huge today. It would be on CNN. It would be on NBC. It would be on ABC, CBS, HIJKL. It would be everywhere. Nobody would miss this, I promise you. So here they are. They're all piled up. They're all piled up, and Elijah comes to them as he's got them all here, and he drops this bar that I need you to hear today. He approached all the people, and he said, how long? Somebody just woke up. That's good. This is a wake up for us. How long will you waver between two opinions? How long are you going to be so indecisive about this? How much longer are you going to do it? He says, if the Lord is God, follow him. But if Baal, follow him. Huh? What do you mean, Elijah? That's not what a prophet should say. A prophet should say, my God is God, follow him. There are no other options. But that's not what he says. He says, if my God is God, follow him. But if Baal, follow him. He's saying, look, I'm about to prove it to you, so you're not going to have to question this anymore. And once you see it, you have got to make a decision. That's what he was saying. He wasn't saying, hey, look, I don't really know. He wasn't confused. He wasn't saying, I don't really know who God is, and hopefully we're about to find out. No, he was not confused. He was calling out their two-facedness. I don't know if that's a word. It is now. That fits well. He calls out their two-facedness. He says, I've had enough of you riding the fence. I've had enough of you just standing in the middle, doing nothing at all. I've had enough. If the Lord is God, follow him. But if Baal, follow him. He wasn't confused. Remember what his name is? My God is Yahweh. He was not confused. He knew what he was saying. And what he's saying is there's too many of you that have one foot in the camp of Yahweh and one foot in the camp of Baal. Make a decision. Make up your mind. Quit going back and forth. It's almost like him and James are agreeing on this whenever James says that a double-minded man is unstable in all of his ways. Because whenever you sit on the fence, there ain't much balance there. You're just going to wobble back and forth. You don't really know what's going on. You're not standing on any ground at all. You're just kind of there. And that's what he's saying. He's saying, enough of this. Enough of this standing in the middle. Enough riding the fence. He says, make a decision. And this hasn't changed. This has not changed. It's the same today. You need to make a decision. Quit waiting on it to be the right time. Quit waiting on it to be the right message. Quit waiting on it to be the right Sunday morning, the right service, the right music. Quit waiting for everything to get perfect and make a decision. Make a decision. Because what does Jesus say in Revelations? He says, look, I would rather you be hot or cold, but if you are lukewarm, I'm sick. It's disgusting. Make a decision. Y'all didn't know I was going to preach hard to y'all this morning, did y'all? Make a decision. If you are going to serve God, serve Him. If you're going to serve the world, serve the world. But whatever you do, quit standing in the middle. Make a decision. It is not the backslider that is the problem here. It's the fence rider. Make a decision. Make a decision. Also, Mr. Reformed thinker, do we think Elijah was confused whenever he said make a decision? He wasn't confused. I apologize, Mr. Calvinist, but he was not faking it whenever he said make a decision. This was legit. You've got to make a decision. Let's quit blaming God because some people choose the wrong thing. That's on us. You're responsible for it. God didn't put you on the fence. Make a decision. And I hope I make some people mad with that because I've already figured out what mad means. Make a decision. That's what it means today. Make a decision. If you're going to serve Him, then serve Him. If you're going to serve the world, serve the world. Quit standing in the middle. So Elijah is up on the mountain, and he says this to these people. And you know how I know they were mad? Because they said nothing at all. They didn't have a response. Now you know you just put some truth on somebody whenever they just stand there. They just, mad. That's all they were. They were just mad. Because it was so true that they had no answer for it. And they just stood there. No answer, no explanation. They just stood there. And Elijah doesn't care that they're mad because enough is enough. It's time to quit playing. He says, it's time to cut the bull. Cut the bull. That's basically what he's saying. And y'all think that I'm just being cute with that, but I'm just in my text. That's what it says. It says, let 2 bulls be given to us. They are to choose 1 bull for themselves and cut the bull. Enough is enough. Cut it in pieces. Place it on the wood, but don't light the fire. And then I will prepare the other bull and place it on the wood, but not light the fire. Then you call on the name of your God, and I will call on the name of the Lord, the God who answers with fire. He is God. And of course, all the people agreed. He said, sure, that's fine. That's fine. And this is the nicest thing that Elijah does for the rest of this message. He lets the pagans go first. He says, okay, y'all go ahead. Fill up the altar. Do whatever you need to do. Get to it. Get to it. So they begin building this altar. They've chopped up all the wood. They start piling it up high. And then it says that they began dancing around and screaming out to Baal. Baal, help us. Help us, Baal. I don't know what to do, Baal. Help me, Baal. Baal, send down the fire. Do something, please, Baal. And then they started dancing. They said, Baal, Baal, help us, please. I don't know if that's really how he did it, but he might have. They said, oh, Baal, Baal, Baal. That's what they're doing. This is what they've resorted to. They've ran out of options. They up here gritty and whipping, nay, and they hitting everything. Baal, help us. Help us, Baal. And this is where Elijah becomes one of my favorite people in the Bible, because he could have just sat there. He could have done nothing at all. He could have watched them dance. He could have just watched all these things happen, but he doesn't do that, because Elijah's got a little player in him, and I like that. He's got a little trash talk inside to him. I like that. I was a pretty big trash talker in high school. The only technical fouls I ever got in basketball was telling people stuff that I can't repeat. But, hey, you don't have to like it, but you got to respect it. Game is game. What can I say? So Elijah does not just sit there. He doesn't just watch them, but he begins to troll them on the mountain. He says, shout loudly, for he's a God. Maybe he just can't hear you. Maybe he just can't hear what you're saying. Maybe you should get a little louder. Maybe you should dance a little harder. I don't know. You got to do something, though. I don't think he can hear you. I don't think he can hear you. Maybe he's thinking it over. Look, guys, I get it. Baal's just trying to make a decision. He's a little slow thinker. It's going to take him a minute to decide if he's going to send down this fire or not. He says, oh, well, okay, you guys are right. Maybe he's just on vacation. He's just wandering around. He's just thinking about, he's on vacation. He'll get back with you in 3 to 5 business days, and then Baal going to take care of this. Or, I don't know how many of y'all read into the Hebrew, but what this actually means, this wandered away, it says that he turned his back to use the bathroom. That's what it was. Maybe Baal's just turned around. He's got to use the bathroom. He's just taking a minute. He'll be back in a second. Maybe then he will answer. Maybe he's on vacation. Maybe he just can't hear you. Maybe he's using the bathroom. Or maybe he's taking a nap. We gotta wait on Baal to wake up. You guys are so silly. Quit dancing around. He's taking a nap. He'll get back with you in a minute. You just got to let him wake up first. He's a little sleepy-eyed right now. Y'all doing all this dancing and screaming. Y'all done woke him up from his nap. Now he's in a bad mood. He ain't sending no fire down now. Guys, what are y'all doing here? Is basically what Elijah is saying. He is clowning them. And I'm not going to lie. I like a little petty. It's funny. And that's what Elijah's doing here. He's a little petty. I'm not going to lie. But then it says that the people began to shout all the louder. They began to get loud, and they began to cut themselves with knives and speared according to their own custom. Their own custom was that if Baal wasn't listening, it's because we weren't going through enough pain. So we have got to inflict pain on ourselves to get Baal to listen. And I just want to say this right now. I'm so thankful that we have a God who doesn't ask us to cut ourselves, but instead he let himself be cut. He did not have to cut. We do not have to cut ourselves to get the attention of God. He came down and allowed himself to be cut. This foolish, foolish God that these people had made up, where they have to hurt themselves just to get some attention. They got to hurt themselves just to get a little love. Yet still, after they did all this, nothing happened. Silence, not a word. They heard nothing from Baal. So then Elijah says, okay, my turn now. And the first thing that he does is and I need y'all to pick up on this. The first thing that he does is he rebuilds what Jezebel had torn down. Jezebel had torn down the altar. So the first thing that we need to do is we've got to rebuild. He rebuilds the altar to God. And then he lays out 12 stones according to the 12 tribes of Israel to remind his people that the same God that was with these 12 tribes is with us today. Just to remind them, hey, he's here, he's got this, he is under control. And then he builds a trench around the altar so that it could catch all this water that he is about to dump all over the altar. Which, by the way, there hadn't been any rain for 3.5 years. Which means most likely they had to go down from the mountain, go to the Mediterranean Sea, fill up buckets of water, carry it back up the mountain for him to do what he's about to do. So he sends them out. He says, go get me a bunch of water because I need people to know that this was not by luck. This was not by coincidence. This is God. And there is no other way around it. Because sometimes God likes to show off a little bit. Just to show everybody, this is who I am. You can't take credit for this. This was all me. So he sends them out, and they go get him a bunch of water, and he completely covers it. It says that it was drenched in water. It was dripping with water. And then he says, go back, get me more. So they go back down to the Mediterranean Sea. They fill up more buckets. They carry it back up the mountain. And he covers it again. And at this point, it cannot get any more water on it. There's water everywhere. The dirt is soaking wet. The trenches have now filled up with water. And he says, nope, not enough. Go back, get me more. He does it 3 times, completely covering the altar in water. Just to show that y'all are not going to come up with some nerdy excuse as to why it caught fire. It's not because it's been so dry and the sun just hit it right and that's how the fire started. It wasn't God. He's saying, no, there is no other way to explain this other than it was God, and I'm going to make sure of it. So he soaks the whole thing down with water. And he begins to pray. Now, I don't know if y'all realize this, but the worshipers of Baal, the prophets of Baal, had been praying for hours and hours and hours. And Elijah says about a 20-second prayer to God. He says, God, Lord of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, show these people that everything I'm doing is because you told me to. Show these people that this is not me, this is completely you. God, send down a fire from heaven and bring your people back to you. And he finishes this prayer and just, fire comes down and it burns everything. There is nothing left of the altar. It burns up the wood. It burns up the cow. It burns up all 12 of the rocks. It burns up the dirt. It burns up the soil. It burnt up every ounce of water that was there. There was nothing left of it. Burnt up every single piece of it. And that's not even the best part. The best part is that it says that whenever the fire fell from heaven, that the people did too. All these people, they fell down, face to the ground. My God is Yahweh. There's no other way to explain it. They know. And they all fall down. They all fall down, screaming, the Lord is God, the Lord is God, my God is Yahweh. My God is Yahweh. And I love what Elijah does here because it's like he sees the prophets of Baal trying to get away and he says, get back over here. Get back over here. Seize them, go out and get them. So his men, they go out and they get all the prophets of Baal. They gather up all these prophets. And then it says that Elijah walks them down to the river. And they all hold hands and they sing Kumbaya, and it's a great story. But that's not what happened. He takes them down to the river and he kills them. All of them. It's like Anakin Skywalker in Star Wars. All of them. Because you cannot tolerate false prophecy and sin. You can't do it. You can't let it hang around. You cannot give it a place. So look, I know we can be a bit hard on false prophecy here, but it's better than killing them, because that's what Elijah did. I ain't man enough for all that. But I can guarantee you that it will not ever be welcome here. He takes them down to the river, and he completely gets rid of the false prophecy and the sin. And then he hears the sound of rain. And before you know it, it starts raining all around him. Here comes the rain. The drought is over. The drought is over, but the rain did not come before the repentance. That was all the people falling down. They were repenting of everything they had done. And then the rain came. So look, maybe there's somebody in here going through some kind of drought. You're just struggling. Things are not going great. Well, the abundance of rain does not come until after the repentance. So maybe the reason that you're in a drought is you have some idols that are still built up that you need to tear down. You need to get rid of them. And then after that, the rain will come. So he does all of this. He has embarrassed them. He has destroyed them. And then he outruns a chariot to Jezreel, which, like I told y'all, that's an F-150. That boy is moving. He runs out. He gets away from them. And he tells his servant, stay behind. I need to go. I need to be by myself. I need to be by myself. Now, at this point, he should feel like he is on top of the world. I mean, he has called down fire from heaven. All these people have repented. He's destroyed the prophets. He has done all these things. He should feel like he is walking on clouds right now. And he probably does. So what could make a man like this who has done all these things, he's done everything right. What could make a man like that say this? I have had enough. Take my life, for I'm no better than my ancestors. Take it from me. I don't want to be here anymore. What could make him do that? It was a message. That's it. Just a message. But can you imagine being in Elijah's shoes? Everything is done right. You've done everything right. And you're probably thinking that this message from her is, hey, everything else has been going good, so she's probably repenting. She's going to turn this nation back to God. She might be stepping down. Who knows? But it's got to be something good. Everything's been going too good for this to be bad. And then, watch this. He gets the message from her, and it says, by this time tomorrow, you will be just like the prophets. She says, boy, I am going to kill you. You're done. I'm going to find you, and I'm going to kill you. Didn't mean to quote take it, but I did it anyways. I'm going to find you and kill you. Why was this message taken so harshly? Have you ever been there before? You're at the absolute highest moment. On the absolute mountain tops. Thinking revival is about to break out, but then in one moment you have to deal with unmet expectations. He was expecting everything to go good. But then she says, I am going to hunt you down. And he's probably like, God, look, I can't do this anymore. I called down fire from heaven. I turned the country back towards you. Why is this happening to me? I made it rain. I rebuilt the altar. God, I did everything right, and now I'm empty. I've done everything right, yet this person still doesn't like me. God, I sent my kids to church. I sent them to VBS. We had them there 5 minutes early, and I picked them up just on time. I've done everything right. Yet, this still happens to me. I've done everything right with my kids, yet now they want nothing to do with me. I brought them to church, now they want nothing to do with God. God, how has this happened to me? I've had enough. I've had enough. He says, I've had enough, take my life. And I'm so glad that God didn't answer this prayer. Instead, God ministers to a broken down prophet. He ministers to him in his lowest moment. He sends an angel down to Elijah and has him bake some bread. I love that. That's probably Texas Roadhouse rolls. That's good stuff. He had him bake some bread. But that doesn't make sense. Why would you bake him bread? Because he was hungry. You would expect God to send an angel down, and this is kind of how churches act now, is that it's, I'm an angel sent by God, you should not be depressed anymore. Vanisho, depressiono, gone. I am an angel sent by God. Shame on you for having feelings. Cheer up, Elijah, just get over it. But no, he sends him to bake bread because Elijah was hungry. See, this is the danger for some of us. We tend to be so spiritual that we let our physical needs slip. He had called down fire from heaven. He had made it rain, and it hadn't rained in 3 years. He does all these things, and that's great. But he forgot to take care of himself. He was hungry. That's it. He was hungry. And I don't know who this is for, but I'm sure there is someone who needs to hear this. You are over-spiritualizing things. You need to just relax. You're just hungry. Just take care of your physical body. That's why you're feeling this, I've had enough. It's because you're hungry. Yes, there are things that are spiritual, but there's also things that are very, very practical. There are very, very practical things that you can do to take care of yourself. You are just hungry. You're hungry, Elijah. He sends him an angel to bake him bread. Not only that, but he was alone. Maybe that's why the angel touches him, just to remind him, you're not by yourself. Because remember, he told his people, stay behind. I want to be by myself. Leave me be. Let me do this all by myself. And that's the mistake that so many of us make. Things start to go bad and we isolate. Get everybody away from around me. I don't want to be talked to. I just want to be by myself. And isn't that a great strategy for the enemy to use? To think that you should just be by yourself because you're struggling? He was alone. He was alone. That's why he says this. I've had enough. He was alone. What else did he do? What else did Elijah do? Big bro fell asleep twice. He was tired. He was hungry, he was alone, and he was tired. That's how a prophet like Elijah can end up saying, God, I've had enough. It wasn't because of anything that he was doing wrong. It was just because he was hungry, he was alone, and he was tired. Some of you are just tired. You need to rest. You need to relax. Because if the enemy cannot extinguish you, then he's probably going to try to exhaust you. He will just try to wear you out. He's hungry, he's alone, and he's tired. And the last thing is he was empty. Now this one I'm not talking about hunger. I'm talking about he was empty. He needed to have an encounter with God. He needed to feel God again. This is why I'm so big on preachers, teachers, parents that are teaching their kids. Make sure that you are fed. Do not let yourself be empty, because he had spilled out and spilled out and spilled out, and he had not taken the time to be filled. He was empty. And I can just hear Elijah, God, I'm the only one left. Everyone's left me and I'm all alone. I've got nobody to go to. I've got nothing else to do. And now she's just going to kill me. I'm done. There is nothing else that I can do. But God was not done with Elijah yet. So maybe the next time that you've had this, I've had enough moment, just remember, maybe you were hungry. Maybe you were alone. Maybe you were tired. Maybe you were just empty. But how many of us know that we have a God that fills us whenever we are empty? His grace is new every morning, over and over again. Grace and mercy on top of grace and mercy, it can never run out. You never have to be empty. So don't you dare kill yourself. Don't you dare take your life. God's not done with you yet. He has so much more for you. He has so much left. You have such a future, Elijah. I'm not done with you. I'm not done, Elijah. Elijah thought it was over, but God had something for him. Elijah, there's another mountain in front of you. Everybody's going to talk about Mount Carmel, but there's still Mount Horeb. It's right here in front of you. Elijah, I'm not done with you yet. So don't you dare do that. Elijah's on the mountain and he begins to look for God. God, are you in the wind? No, God wasn't there. There was an earthquake. God, are you in the earthquake? No, I'm not in the earthquake. Okay, God, well, surely in this big, huge fire, that's got to be you, right? Because that's where you were before. God says, do not put me in a box, Elijah. Yes, I was the God of the fire, but I'm so much more than that. I'm so much more than the God of just the big things. And then he says, what are you waiting for, Elijah? Just listen. He wasn't in the fire. He wasn't in the wind. He was not in the earthquake. He was in the whisper. He was in the whisper. Elijah at this point had seen him in so many big things. He was in the fire before, but that's different this time. Elijah's just, what are you waiting for, God? Where are you at? Elijah, just be quiet. Because I'm in the whisper. And there's two things that have to happen for us to be able to hear the whisper. First, you have to be close enough to hear it. And secondly, you have got to be quiet and listen for the whisper. The enemy loves to shout at you, give up, just quit. You can't do this anymore. You're too weak, you're too worn out. You're too hungry, you're alone, you're all by yourself now. You're too tired, you can't handle this anymore. You're too empty. Elijah, just end it. Be done with it all, Elijah. And that's what the enemy loves to do, is to shout. But God just says, come here, close, be quiet, and listen for the whisper. Listen for the whisper. There's two things that we have got to do to hear the whisper. We have got to be close and we have got to be quiet. We're going to have a time of invitation. I believe that there is no better place to hear a whisper than at the altar. There's no better place. And whenever you're in these I've had enough moments, I want you to remember that you've got to hate it. You've got to remember you could just be hungry. You could just be alone. You could be tired. You could be empty. He hated it there. He had had enough. We're going to have a time of invitation. The altar is wide open. I'll be right here at the front if anybody needs to talk. If you'd like to be saved, if today is the day that you feel like you have got to make a decision, we would love for that to happen. The altar is wide open for anybody that needs to hear a whisper. What are we going to sing?